Extra, wintry treats from northwestern Japan. One day when I opened up my online supermarket to stock up on seasonings, I found a colorful banner plastered across the top of the menu. It read winter specialties from the Hokuriku region, on sale now. Oh, Hokuriku specialties, huh? Come to think of it, I remember getting some really good oysters when I went on a trip to the Noto Peninsula. They had been pretty small, as far as oysters went, but they'd been plump and incredibly flavorful. I remembered having them raw, grilled, in hot pots, and even cooked into rice, all of which had been delicious as could be. Whoops. Just remembering them's making me drool. I sure could go for some oysters right about now. Raw ones, in particular. Seafood in this world, fish and shellfish alike, was host to some really nasty parasites that meant that eating it raw was absolutely out of the question. Like, when I say really nasty, I mean very likely fatal. Man. Wish I could have some oysters, I muttered as I glanced over the list of items available in the event, until my eyes fell on one particular entry. Wait, seriously? They're selling those? There it was, an entry for fresh, in-shell oysters straight from the Noto Peninsula. Oh man, for real? Now that's tempting, I said. All I had to do was push one button, and I'd have the oysters I had just been dreaming of. I wanted them. I really wanted them. I wanted to eat my fill of raw oysters for the first time in who even knew how long. Should I go for it? But then again, it's practically guaranteed that Fel and the others will throw a fit if I eat them on my own. But I want them so bad. Oh man, they have sashimi too? I'd been so fixated on the oysters, I almost missed the luxury assortment of sashimi listed right next to them. And there's even yellowtail in it. Winter yellowtail's the best, it's fatty in the most perfectly delicious sort of way. Wait, what's this? They have a yellowtail shabu shabu set too? Yellowtail shabu shabu? Oh god, that sounds so good. Now my attention was fully fixed on the yellowtail section, but not quite enough for me to miss what was listed right next to it. Crab. They have snow crabs. Raw crab, grilled crab, crab shabu shabu, crab hot pot. My dreams of seafood were rapidly expanding. It all sounded so delicious, it was driving me crazy. Ag, I wanna eat all of it, right now. I have to. Hell, I'm going to. I shouted. All that delectable-looking Hokuriku seafood had me worked up into a frenzy. That's it, tonight's dinner's gonna be a Hokurikan seafood spectacular. I've made up my mind. There was just one problem I'd have to deal with. Them. How much sashimi would I even have to buy to fill my familiars' stomachs? Would that even be possible? I have a feeling they'll complain about me not serving meat if I try to, I said to myself. I browsed a little more, and quickly found the word I was looking for. Aha! They do have meat. I'd always thought of the Hokuriku region as being a seafood hotspot, but as it turned out, they had a variety of meat as one of their local specialties as well. Noto Peninsula beef and pork, huh? Okay, this is starting to sound like a plan. I'll get some seafood for them, and bulk their meal out with this meat as well. Though not too much bulking, of course. I knew exactly what sort of trouble I'd be in if I accidentally fed them too much earth food and raised their stats past the point of reason. I'll throw in some dungeon beef and pork too, just to be on the safe side. I guess dungeon beef steak would be good. And as for the dungeon pork, well, you can never go wrong with cutlets. Steak and pork cutlets were among the gluttonous quartet's all-time favorites, so I couldn't imagine they'd complain if I served them those. Making steak and frying cutlets for a single meal did seem like it'd be a bit of a pain, but it's all for the sake of Hokurikan seafood. I'll do anything for my oysters. Bwoo! What in the world is this? Oh, impressive. Tonight's dinner is lavish indeed. Hot damn, no kidding. And all of it looks great. Woo. So much meat and fishes. It all looks really yummy. Heh, doesn't it? I found some awesome stuff in my online supermarket, so I decided to splurge a little. I explained. My familiar's eyes, which were wide with shock, were glued to the spectacular spread of food I'd laid out on the table. I'd served mountains of dungeon beefsteaks and dungeon pork cutlets, plus beef and pork steaks I'd made using the Noto Peninsula meat from my online supermarket. I'd seasoned the Japanese steaks very simply with just salt and pepper, since I wanted the flavor of the meat itself to take center stage. Then, of course, there was the assortment of sashimi and the yellowtail shabu-shabu, plus the raw crab, grilled crab, shabu-shabu style crab, and crab hot pot. Every last one of them looked drool-inducingly delicious. By the way, I made enough dungeon beef steaks and dungeon pork cutlets for you to have seconds, but this is all I have for the online supermarket stuff, so you'd better savor it, I warned, pointing out the dishes in sequence. What? You would serve us meat this clearly delectable without a chance to eat more of it? Fell indignantly replied. Buying enough of it to fill you guys up would be problematic in all sorts of ways, so that's all you get for today. That's why I made extra dungeon meat dishes, just to make sure you'll be satisfied. HMPH. I would certainly hope we will be. I'm sure you wouldn't mind treating me to a beer as well, would you, my liege? Gun hopefully asked. Beer and cutlets are, after all, a match like few others. I guess he would ask for that, wouldn't he? Fried food and bees a match made in heaven, after all. Okay, but just a little, I said. Ha ha ha. Cutlets and beer, a feast indeed. Hell yeah. Cutlets are the best. I mean, everything fried's the best, really, Dora-chan said. Sway loves the steak and the cutlet. Sway chimed in. Everyone was ecstatic to learn that they'd be getting more of their favorite foods than ever, which meant that everyone was playing precisely into my hands. Heh heh heh. While the gluttonous quartet was fixated on their steak and cutlets, I, of course, headed straight for the seafood. What to try first? I said to myself, hesitating for a moment before finally reaching for the sashimi. I dabbed a bit of wasabi on a piece of yellowtail, swished it through some soy sauce I'd poured into a little dish, and popped it into my mouth. Oh, man, that's good. The fish was fatty and jam-packed with umami. It was an explosion of pure, fishy flavor. Perfect. This is perfection. It had been so long since I'd had any sashimi, and my first piece in ages was so delicious, I was actually moved. Not quite moved enough to stop me from grabbing a second piece of yellowtail right afterward, though. My expectations for the rest of the sashimi assortment had been raised, and I went for a raw oyster next, which I dressed with a little ponzu, a shellfish classic. Ah, so good. The oyster's flavor was like the seaside itself, with a creamy richness to complement it. It was the best. I really couldn't describe it in any other way. The rest of the platter was delicious as well, from the sweet, slightly sticky shrimp to the light and refreshing flounder. Raw seafood just can't be beat. Sashimi's an addiction that all Japanese people have, I swear. Of course, there's still one bit of raw seafood I haven't tried yet. Time for some crab. How long had it been since I'd had crab sashimi? I hadn't exactly been able to afford splurging on something that fancy very often back when I was an office worker. Now, however, I found myself facing a plate absolutely full of glossy, faintly red crab legs. Heh heh heh, do I dare? Should I eat a whole leg's worth of crab in just one bite? I dared. I dipped the rather sizable piece of crab in a little soy sauce, then popped the whole thing into my mouth in one go. Oh wow, it's so sweet. Now this is what happiness tastes like. Crab sashimi is a perfect food. It was so delicious that I'd eaten a second and a third crab leg before I snapped back to my senses and realized what I was doing. Whoops. That was close. Can't fill myself up with sashimi when there's so many other things to try. I still had to prepare the yellowtail and crab shabu-shabu, the grilled crab, and the crab hot pot, then sample all of them. I moved on to the yellowtail shabu-shabu first, which I tried with a little ponzu. That's another one for the delicious list. The time the fish spent being swished through the piping hot shabu-shabu broth had lessened its fattiness just enough to give it a completely different flavor profile. It felt like I could keep swishing and eating forever, and for quite some time, I did exactly that. Swish, eat, and on, and on. What could I possibly call this other than delicious? The best, maybe? I felt like sticking with the yellowtail for a while longer, but I couldn't give in to temptation. There were still so many other foods left to try. Next up, crab shabu shabu. This was, as a matter of fact, the very first time I'd tried crab prepared using this method, and I was incredibly excited to give it a taste. I swished a crab leg through the simmering broth, then popped it into my mouth. So sweet and tasty, I exclaimed. The crab was half cooked, half raw, and all delicious in the sweetest, most umami-rich way possible. Not dipping this in any of the sauces was the right call for sure. Man, it's so good. How on earth is crab this tasty, anyway? I wondered. Needless to say, the grilled crab and crab hot pot were both just as delicious. For that matter, the whole meal had been incredible. What could possibly be better than a feast's worth of food where everything is so good it's out of this world? I idly mused. Hokuriku seafood can't be beat. By that point, I'd spent enough time waxing poetic about how good the seafood was that I'd finally caught my familiar's attention. They tore themselves away from their meat mountains for long enough to sample the sashimi and the shabu shabu as well. This is not unsatisfactory by any means, but meat remains my preference, Fel said. Mine as well, Gun agreed. It tastes quite nice, certainly, but it's hardly filling, is it? Yeah, I get that. Meat's way more satisfying, and it's tasty to boot, Dora-chan added. Sway thinks this is yummy, but Sway likes the meat better too, Sway chimed in. Frigging carnivores. You have no idea how much of a treat all this Hokuriku seafood really is. I would like another helping of otherworldly meat to be added to my portion in lieu of more fish. Oh, I'd like that as well. Thirded. That meat was so good. Did you really think it'd be that easy to trick me into giving you seconds? Nope. Not happening. I told you right at the start that there wouldn't be any more of that stuff, I firmly replied. TCH, I thought he would be more easily fooled, Fel muttered under his breath. I can hear you, Fel, I said, shooting him a glare. I said nothing, Fel flagrantly lied. Oh, I guess you can do without seconds of the steak and cutlets, then. What? I said no such thing. I demand more. Hey guys, hear that? Fel says he doesn't want his seconds. Think you could eat them for him? But of course. You really gotta ask. Yare, Swayleet. Okay, then extra large helpings of steak and cutlets for everyone but Fel. Do not play these games with me. I will have seconds. I will have them.